And now to our interview segment. My guest, Mr. George Etome, really needs no introduction. But if you don't know, he was the pioneer chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association section on business law. He has extensive experience in commercial transactions and has worked with local and international clients in matters of aviation, banking and finance, building and construction, and energy and natural resources. He's a member of the Center for Petroleum Law Research and has worked over the years with numerous multinational companies, oftentimes serving as a mediator and champion for the cause and the rights of the people of the oil-producing states. At the beginning of 2013, Mr. Etome, in a chat with Law Weekly, had urged the Nigerian lawmakers to put the interests of the country first and pass the Petroleum Industry Bill. We also spoke extensively about the power sector reforms that were due at the time. You can, of course, log on to www.youtube.com/channelsweb to catch that interview. In this interview, however, we reviewed some of the activities of 2013 from a commercial law perspective, with particular focus on yet again the PIB and the power sector reform. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you.
I want us to review the year from a commercial law perspective. The last time I talked to you, we talked about the PIB, we talked about power sector reforms. 2013, there's been so much changes, so much reforms, especially with the power sector, the PIB, but it's still there. But from a commercial law perspective, what do you make of the changes that we've seen over the year?
Thank you. Let me start first by congratulating all of you in channels. You won for the 8th time.
Yes.
TV station of the year.
And you felt good.
Yes, you deservedly so, and I am really proud to be associated with you people.
Thank you so much.
Now, from a business law perspective, looking back at 2014, I remember the last time the last time we spoke, we talked about the PIB and what the non-passage, the harm it's doing to the economy, and it still hasn't been passed. And then we talked about the power sector reforms, which incidentally well on the way. So beginning with the PIB, I think the appeal must go out again. Legislators must be more nationalistic than they are now in looking at issues. We cannot continue to run an economy in which all the emphasis is on sharing. The reason it's not being passed today are issues to do with we don't want a certain percentage of revenue to go to certain areas and all that. That should not be emphasis. By far more of far greater importance are issues to do with what the PIB would do to release gas that's currently trapped in the system, because the existing structure does not allow gas to get its right pricing for it to be worked by a lot of these IOCs. Now, this gas, when it's released, can be piped to the existing power producers, the generating companies.
So does that mean more revenue? If
Not only does it mean more revenue to the Federation, it actually means the cheapest source of power to produce energy. That is really what it means, which means that with all the planned generating capacity, 10,000 megawatts we're talking about. First of all, if we don't release the PIB, the gas there will not be available. So
that's the only option.
No, you still have hydro, you still have solar, but in practical terms, those are more expensive than gas. Gas is cheap and it's available and it's being flared. In some cases, being reinjected, being wasted. So once you get the right pricing, it makes economic sense to those who produce it. They will sell it. And when they sell it, the power generating companies will then use it to be the source to generate power. And that's then thrown into the national grid, transmitted, and comes down to distribution. This is the link. And once it comes to distribution, it means there's more energy available to give to consumers across the board at affordable rates. Now, to understand what's going on, a number of companies, estates, have now gotten their independent power plants going, and they are paying at a certain amount of money, way above what they would get with what used to be the PHCN, now the private companies. Some of them are paying up to 60 naira per unit of electricity consumed. Now, for the PHCN, or the new companies now, it hovers between 11 and 14 because they get it for 9. Now, if gas is made available and it boosts more of the generation, it means distribution will be a part that's available for distribution will also be boosted. And you can get power at averagely 14 for steadier supply of electricity. That's the link. Now, the effect on the economy is going to be massive. Okay, people will get it at 60. Yes, they're getting 24-hour supply, but they're still pricing it into their goods. So the goods are still a little bit higher than they should be. But at 14, it's cheaper and it's available. And the effect is widespread. It could have been the greatest present the legislature should have given to Nigerians. So going into 2014, they must prioritize it. Many of us appealed to them in 2013 to do it. It hasn't been done. This is far above politics. And they must look at it from this perspective. This economy needs to be released to match into its full potential. There's so much going on in the world now. Africa is the newfound bride. Everybody is coming in. But it still doesn't remove the fact that average businessman looks for a very conducive environment to come and work. Power is critical, very, very critical. So we must appeal. The appeal must continue to go to the legislators to please pass the PIB. On the other side of it, on the oil side of it, Nigeria is depriving itself of new technology, as I once mentioned in our discussions, because a lot of these IOCs, who are the ones who, in any case, who are the ones in the forefront of technological breakthroughs with regard to new systems, are not doing anything in Nigeria. Some of the majors from 5 rigs are down to 2. I mean, that's not good news at all. So the fact that oil still sells at firm prices undermines our ability to plan for the future. And we must begin to look at Nigeria after oil. Because if we don't do that, we're going to have a real shock on our hands.
That others are discovering oil in
all over the place. And what about shale gas? These are massive alternative sources of energy. And guess what? It's still being discovered by these same IOCs. So the way coal used to take pride of place once as a power source, oil, and lost it, oil could possibly pass that through that channel. So what's critical is for us to make hay while the sun still shines, as they say. On electricity reforms, it's so refreshing that the administration has kept faith with Nigerians. I mean, it's still a breath of fresh air that with all the talk about electricity reforms from so many years back, we're finally beginning to see it happen. And as you are probably aware, November 1, a lot of these companies took over what used to be the PHCN, broken down into several other smaller companies, although many of them are PLCs, as they say. Now, the challenges, of course, of integrating private sector discipline and style into what hitherto was a government utility. Those challenges are there, and a lot of these companies are having to deal with the challenges. But critically, the human face to this whole transition is what pleases me the most. And there's been this very harmonious working relationship between the government, the unions, and the new companies. So instead of what you would normally have expected, wholesale sacking of workers, redeployment and co that's going on, the new companies have kept faith with the government. They've kept the old workers for a period, in some cases 6 months, where they're going to see who would be interested. Remember, this is against the backdrop that most of them have been paid their severance payments. So they're in good shape. So whatever they're going to get going forward is really up to them. Those who show the flair for change, those who see the importance in changing their ways will benefit, because obviously they can stay on, get enhanced pay, acquire new technologies and so many things. Because many of these companies, part of the bidding process, have actually partnered with existing technical partners worldwide. So Nigeria is going to be, as it were, we're going to be raided, as it were, by the finest in the industry. So this is very good news overall for the overall 2014 climate. The human challenges are there. They will be dealt with going forward.